I'm excited because we have a 40-something-year-old quarterback who agreed to come to the AFC North. After all the waiting, no, it's not Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
It's Joe Flacco, who is headed to the Browns, a 1-year, $4 million deal that is worth up to $13 million with incentives. This is a backup quarterback deal on a team that at the moment does not have a starting quarterback. This is not the type of contract that you're giving to somebody who you anticipate is going to play a lot of games for you. Let's level set. Joe Flacco, everyone likes Joe Flacco, the guy. Okay, he's somebody everyone's like, oh man, Joe's the best. Just the best guy that you can have around.
He was the best.
Everybody loves him. He was also sitting on his couch until late in the season 2 years ago, thinking about a media career, deciding what he was going to do until the Browns finally called him. And he got his opportunity after 3 or 4 other guys got hurt. They rolled him out. He played pretty good football for 5, 6, 7 games down the stretch. That is by far the most that we have seen Joe Flacco play in many years. You got to go back to, I believe, 2016 to find the last time Joe Flacco threw 20 touchdown passes in a season. Okay, he's a 40-year-old man.
He's a man. He's 40.
Nobody played at age 40 until pretty recently. Brady obviously blew right by and played to 45. But for a long time, everybody retired at 37, 38.
Yep.
And this is not to suggest that there's not a scenario where Joe Flacco is starting out of the gate. But if you're asking yourself, and I'm sure there might be a few people who are Browns fans around the country asking this, what are they doing? I would say this. It looks very similar to what the Giants have done setting up their room. They spent more money on it. Jameis Winston got the Flacco contract. They also signed Russell Wilson for more money. The Browns at one point were in on Russell Wilson, but at a much lower price point, probably more similar to what Flacco just got. But the Giants, when they set up that room, my take on it, talking to people within the league, is they're setting that up to drop a rookie quarterback in as the third man. It gives you optionality in the draft. You don't have to force it at number 3, but you're probably going to draft one somewhere along the line. You could even take one at number 3. I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that Shedeur Sanders could end up being the pick. I know there's some fans of Jackson Dart out there, but it would not shock me if the Giants took one at 3. For the Browns, they had Flacco after adding Kenny Pickett, who's still on his rookie contract, not making a lot of money. So again, they've given themselves some optionality in that room. They're still paying a guy $46 million this year who, barring a major shock, is not going to play for the team. So it makes sense to go on the less expensive side. But this also seems to be the Browns setting themselves up to draft a quarterback. Now, does that happen at 2? I would say that would surprise me at this point. But they got 5 picks in the top, 105 picks or so. They got a lot of draft capital, a lot of ways to move around, potentially move back into the first. Could move back, although I don't know that you want to move out of the elite player category, which they are in line to get an elite player, whether that's Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. But you're going to be in position to draft somebody. The other thing that this tells me is that the Browns do not have confidence that the Falcons are actually going to be reasonable about moving Kirk Cousins. Because Kirk Cousins walks in the door as your starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You trade for him, and let's say the price is a mid-round pick. Let's say it's a 4th rounder, which is probably along the lines of what the Falcons would be looking for in a trade. And they're going to want you to pick up money. You're bringing in Kirk Cousins to start. You're not signing Joe Flacco to that contract going, well, we got our guy.
We're good.
Week 1,
Yeah.
Flacco magic. It's never good.
Flacco season.
It's never good when everybody is posting stuff about like, oh, the magic's back. Magic is not a real thing. Magic generally means luck. It generally means like right place, right time. You caught a heater.
You talk about the Irvin Johnson, bro.
We remember what happened when he came in for the Colts. You benched the number 4 overall pick, Anthony Richardson. You bring in Flacco. 2 games later, you went, oh, we just got to go back to Richardson.
Yeah,
this is bad.
Yeah.
And again, Flacco can function, and he's always had the thing that all the coaches who run the type of system that Kevin Stefanski does, which is very much, precision-based, and it's a derivative of the McVay-Shanahan stuff. But what they always talk about is like Flacco's arm twitch. Even though he's this tall, lanky guy who is not a threat to beat you with his legs. He's twitchy in terms of how he gets the ball out, which is what you need. See it, rip it. That's also been Kirk Cousins' talent throughout the course of his career. I don't believe that spending $4 million on Joe Flacco precludes you from making a Kirk Cousins trade. But that trade is not going to happen until, in all likelihood, after the first round of the draft anyway. So if you're the Falcons now, you're sitting there, and if you were counting on the fact that eventually the Browns were going to be desperate enough, they would just give up what you're asking for. Let's say they want you to eat $20 million and give them a fourth rounder. That's a hard sell when you're sitting back and going, are they really going to keep Kirk Cousins on the roster? Is this guy are they eventually just going to need to get him out of there because they realize having a veteran, highly productive quarterback behind Michael Penix might not be the greatest thing for Michael Penix to have him looking over their shoulder? Eating a bunch of money and giving up a high pick, that's a tough sell. And so to the extent that the Browns have explored it, and other teams have explored it, the Steelers have explored it, I haven't gotten any sense that the Falcons are at a position where they're like, all right, let's actually do this. Because remember, they would also need Kirk to waive the no trade.
Right.
If all of a sudden you're down to Kirk's got one option and you're coming into him in July, he might just go, I'm good. No, thanks. I'd rather you have to cut me. I'm going to get all my money either way. So I can either sit here, not play, stare over the shoulder of Michael Penix, or you can cut me loose, or you can cut a deal that actually makes sense. I don't get the sense that Kirk Cousins has a great urge to help out the Falcons. He's not going to give up money, that's for sure. And so the Browns, the primary suitor for Kirk Cousins, all of a sudden now have made a move that, again, does not preclude them from making a Cousins trade, but definitely signals the Browns are going, we don't know if this is ever going to happen. So we at least need to get somebody in the building who we've seen play, knows the offense. We can roll them out there if we have to, depending what happens in the draft. And knowing how that front office, knowing how Andrew Berry think about these things, they're going to be examining every different way that they can maximize the value. Get the player that they want at quarterback if they're going to draft one, but also figure out what is the best way to do that. In other words, trading down, which is unlikely, trading up, which is certainly possible, waiting and letting it come to them later on in the draft, or shocking the entire world and taking a quarterback at 2. It's the draft, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I can talk to everybody I want to. I can read all the tea leaves.
Yep.
And there are some things that happen that you just don't anticipate.
Plus, no one's going to give you a straight answer.
People will give you straight answers about everybody else.
Right. Not their
You'll
own
get
team.
very honest information about other teams from the right people. You generally will not get the absolute hammer answer on somebody. Definitely not on April 11th. Still 13 days out from the draft. And so we continue to wait on Aaron Rodgers, who now, his only option also happens to be seemingly the most logical option also for Kirk Cousins if he's going to get traded. Browns aren't out, but the one place that's not, besides Mason Rudolph, added somebody with a long track record as a starter in the most weird quarterback market I can ever remember is the Steelers. So, tick-tock, Aaron. Anytime.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.